Hi, did you know that Pearl Davis is thinking about a new career as a counsellor or an agony aunt or something like that? How do you think she's going to do?
Her situation became hell on earth. It was, she said, the only time in my life where I idealized dying. God, why are white women so spoiled?
I think she's going to do brilliant. You know, she's just so compassionate. Okay, now what this is about is, a while ago, Lauren Southern, she sort of opened up about a, unhappy marriage that she's got out of, right? And, it's actually really very sad, okay? I knew that she'd said before about it being an unhealthy marriage, but listening to, like, you know, what Lauren Southern had said is, like, it's actually, like, really horrible. Like, she claimed that, you know, her husband was abusive. She said, like, you know, she'd always sort of thought the trad life was sort of, like, perfect, and, like, you know, sort of opened her eyes to, like it wasn't in it for her. She described it as turning into a nightmare. And it's really sad, like, regardless of what you think of Lauren Southern, because I understand that some of the people listening to me are probably going to be people that don't like her very much, okay, but I don't think anybody really wishes this on anybody, okay, but I was actually really quite angry listening to, like, what Pearl had to say. Like, she's just, like, about the most insensitive person, like, I think I've ever come across. Like, she can't even pretend to have some compassion, so... Now, the title of her video is called Happy Single Mother's Day, okay, where she mostly talks about Lauren Southern, and it seems a bit like she sort of, you know, wants to put her down for being a single mother, and it's like, well, Pearl, you could be a single mother one day. I mean, I'm not wishing that on her or anything, but I'm just saying you don't know what the future holds. So it's sort of really easy for Pearl to sort of bitch about other women and say that, oh, decisions they've made, are wrong, and like, yeah, everybody makes bad decisions, but Pearl's not perfect herself. She could end up picking somebody who's abusive. She could end up picking somebody who cheats, although she seems to think that that's okay. She could end up a single mother. She doesn't know what the future holds, so it's easy to sort of just completely bitch about other women and call them failures all the time, when she doesn't know, like, if she ends up in that situation, the manosphere are going to be looking down on her if she ends up as a single mother too.
Today, I want to talk about Mother's Day. Now, I've gotten some flack for this opinion. Okay, I've gotten some flack. Why are we celebrating single mothers?
Wow, I think single fathers probably get celebrated on Father's Day as well. Okay, whether somebody is a worthwhile parent or not, that depends on the individual person, and that the person who, like, I would say gets to decide that is, like, the person who's raised by a single parent. Like, if a guy says, like, yeah, my mother, she was a single mum, you know, but she was brilliant, she did the best for me, like, why shouldn't he celebrate her on Mother's Day, okay? Now, there'll be some people who, they might have bad parents who they don't like anymore, and they might say, well, I'm not going to give my mum a Mother's Day card, or I'm not going to give my dad a Father's Day card if they fell out with their parents, or if they had bad parents, or whatever. But it's, like, up to the person who's raised by these parents, whether they're single parents or not, to decide whether they are good parents or not.
No, sorry. The tendency we have as women to celebrate bad decisions. Now, when men make a poor decision, they learn from it, they move on.
Really? So you won't find any men that come to the red pill community and blame all their problems on women in society and never self-reflect then? Or you won't find any men that repeatedly keep dating toxic women and then come to the conclusion that all women are toxic without self-reflecting and asking whether it's their choices? Or you won't find any men who ask themselves if the reason why their relationships keep failing is because of their self, as opposed to it being all the women that are bad. Like, you don't find any guys like that in the red pill then. Okay, the thing is like, people having a victim mentality and wanting to blame everything and everyone for all their problems, you get people like that of both genders. That's not a gendered thing, okay? Or as for learning from your mistakes, again, I mean, depending on the person, it's like, yeah, people do learn from their mistakes, men or women, okay? I mean, Lauren Southern, she did say, like, regarding her marriage, that she's sort of looking back on, in hindsight, she did realise that actually there were red flags, that, like, that her partner was not the best choice, okay? So for her to say that now, well, does that not mean that she's learned from her mistake? That she's sort of looking back and thinking, oh, this is where I went wrong? Well, that sounds like a good thing to me.
Big L, but it's life, And what we're doing now is we are celebrating Mother's Days, And I don't, so I propose we only celebrate married mothers or mothers that at least did not break up their family.
And would you then suggest that men who are not married but have children, they shouldn't be celebrated on Father's Day? Or if a man broke up the family, say he cheated, or say he didn't want his wife anymore, should he not get a Father's Day card? Or, again, maybe we should let the people who are raised by these individuals decide whether they think that they're a good or bad parent. I don't think it's for some stranger to dictate.
Let me continue. So now what we have is single mothers not only taking L's, but rationalizing these L's. So not only do they take them, but they find a way to blame everyone else. So I want to bring up this article by Lauren Southern. Lauren Southern recently posted an article. Does promoting marriage and motherhood inevitably make women easy targets for subordinate status, increase vulnerability, and a return to second-class status? So again, one of the first columns I wrote at Unheard back in 2019 described for me how becoming a mom meant giving up a great deal of liberal ideology I'd embraced when I was younger. But because it wasn't possible to square with the embodied reality of caring for a baby, a relatively conventional home turned out to be much more fulfilling than a radical one I'd adopted with my progressive politics. My accounts of questioning this individualistic ideology and embracing motherhood and marriage have resonated with social conservatives. Most of these, it goes without saying, feel as I do that family life and women's distinctive sex realities should be better understood and valued in the public conversation. Some, though, take more of a hardline positions that women should never work, for example, that we should always be submissive, or even that women's right to vote should be repealed. I mean, who thinks that? That's super cool. So one, I don't think women should never work. In fact, I think more housewives would be served to get jobs, the lazy ones, whose kids are in public school and gone 8 hours a day. I mean, you could do something. I mean, let's not pretend like these women are like super elite housewives nowadays. But surely, as any stance which risks lending momentum to such an extreme arguments cannot be in women's interest. I explored this question recently with the Canadian right-wing firebrand Lauren Southern, whose early videos content challenged liberal feminists orthodoxly and promoted domestically. Our stories are both similar in some respects. Both of us embraced radical politics in our early 20s. Okay, blah, blah, blah. All right. Southern's story might easily serve as a cautionary tale for how socially conservative talking points can lead women into danger. This is what I mean. Oh my gosh. Danger? Really? We're going to compare marriage to danger? This is the older women we have to learn from.
Wow. Women die every week at the hands of an abusive partner. Okay, so if you pick the wrong one, would it not be dangerous? I mean, they talk in the red pill community all the time about the dangers for men, like with marriage and like being screwed over in the divorce courts, and some go so far as to say like men should never get married because of that. Okay, fair enough. If that puts some guys off of marriage, that's fine. But it's like, is there not dangers for women as well in marriage?
God. From where I lost my 20s to commune life and niche sexualities, she left media at 22 to embrace a socially conservative template for women. The lifestyle often idealized by social media influencers as tradlife. Except it wasn't all 50s, kind folks, and cute cupcakes. It was a living hell. Nor, as she had learned, was she the only conservative woman in this position. Comparing our experiences, two things emerge. Firstly, that this was not simply a matter of the right being uniquely toxic for women. Though as Southern's story reveals, there is plenty of scope for toxicity. It's rather purist ideologies, so as such map at best uneasily onto the practical realities of life as a woman, and especially as a mother. And secondly, that the simplifying, polarizing incentives baked into contemporary internet are increasingly warping the ideologies of both the right and the left into such extreme forms that any sincere effort to apply these into real life will almost inevitably be the stuff of nightmares. Southern was perhaps the most telegenetic figure in the brash, young, and online alt-right youth movement, which emerged in the 2010s, quickly gaining international notoriety for her views on mass immigration, Islam, racially blah, blah, blah. I don't care what she used to do, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we get it. She was the far right. All right, here we go. And abruptly, she disappeared in 2019 to embrace marriage and motherhood in her husband's home country of Australia. She was, it seemed, all ready to embrace the nurturing feminine domestic role promoted by right-wing traditionalists, ideally by tradwife influencers, and criticized by progressives as dangerous and stupid. 4 years later, though, Southern caused a new round of shockwaves. This time with a video recounting what happened next. The breakdown of her abusive marriage, her return to Canada as a single mother, and a stint living hand to mouth in a cabin in the woods. Now, I just want to show you guys. And her whole story was that this man was abusive. It's the same trope over and over again. Women love calling men abusive. And guys, I'm to the point, I don't know if I have met a single woman that I believe was abused. It's getting to that point.
And do you think that is possible because Pearl, one views everything from the lens of men are always good and women are always the ones in the wrong, but also thinks that women are supposed to be submissive little doormats to men, so that even if a man is like treating a woman badly, she'll just turn around and say, well, the woman should have been doing what she's told, kind of thing. Right. Something that bugs me is not just Pearl, but like a few people that sort of talk on issues like this and have talked about what Lauren Southern has said about her marriage, is like when they have this attitude, when they say stuff like, if you sympathise with a woman, because like the manosphere absolutely hate it if you humanise women, if you sympathise with women over anything, they absolutely hate it. Okay, and if you sympathise with a woman, they're like, oh, right, so you just hashtag believe all women, do you? Or you just think that, you know, women are all good and men are bad, do you? And
just believe all women. Repeat it with me. Believe all women. All right. Now that we have that understanding down, now the next understanding we need to have is all men are evil. Repeat it with me. All men are evil. All right. Now that we believe all women and we know all men are evil, we can clearly see how this situation played out. She did nothing wrong. She did absolutely everything correct. She was a total angel in this situation. And this big, bad, evil man is just being mean to her because he's a big, bad, evil man. Yep. That's exactly what's happening here, guys. No.
And what annoys me about this sort of attitude is they are accusing everybody else of judging people just on their gender when they are the ones that are judging on gender, or they're accusing everybody else of demonizing one gender when they are the ones that are demonizing one gender. And what I mean is like, if a man said that he'd been in an abusive relationship with a woman, if he said his ex-wife or ex-girlfriend had been abusive to him, I would believe him and I would sympathise with him, unless there was some reason why I didn't. Like, if there was some, I don't know, hint or something that he could be lying. But most of the time, I would believe a person, right? But then when it's a woman who says that they've been in an abusive relationship, people in the manosphere are like, oh, you just believe her because she's a woman. And it's like, no, you're saying don't believe her because she's a woman. You'd believe a man if he said he was in a relationship with a toxic woman who treated him badly. But then when it's a woman, you want to say she's a liar and you want to accuse everybody else, well, anybody else that sympathises with the woman, you want to accuse them of like, oh, just believing her when she's a woman, when you're the ones who are judging on gender and saying don't believe her because she's a woman. And then like also to sit there and say like, oh, you know, just think men are bad. It's like, no. Somebody saying that a man is abusive doesn't mean that they're saying men are abusive, nor does it mean that they're saying that women are abusive, okay? My understanding of, like, abuse, whether we're talking about physical abuse or mental abuse, my understanding is that this is people, both men and women, who, like, normally they have had some trauma when they are children, okay? They've had bad stuff happen to them when they're children. When it comes to domestic violence, people that are violent, it's normally people that have had either one of their parents or both of their parents that are violent. And Pearl knows this because, I mean, she's interviewed Erin Pizzey on her channel before. Now, I didn't see the interview that Pearl did with Erin Pizzey, but I have listened to quite a few interviews with Erin Pizzey, and she's a woman who she's worked with both men and women who have been victims of domestic violence, and she has worked with both men and women that have had like issues that have made them violent. Okay, so she knows quite a lot about it, and she talks about the cycle of violence, about how if somebody, if they had, like I said, one or both of their parents are violent, that they are more likely to be violent. And that doesn't mean to say that everybody who had violent parents is going to be violent, by the way. It just means that, people that are violent, it is normally because they've had a violent parent, okay? And she said that there was like just as many, women that are violent as there are as men. That's what she said, okay? And of course, abuse isn't just physical. I mean, it can be mental abuse. That's something that Pearl is dismissive of, and that's because she's a very unsympathetic person, particularly to women, and wants to dismiss anything that woman says as just her being, a silly, hysterical woman. Okay. And again, when it comes to say personality disorders, that like some people can have that can make them sort of be abusive. Again, that is normally something to do with their childhood. Again, it is just as many, men and women. Okay, it's not one gender is good and one gender is bad. Okay, I don't agree with anybody who, says, masculinity is toxic and we have to teach men, not to be violent or anything like that. But then I also don't agree with the red pillars when they sort of try to portray it as always being women that are the bad ones. Okay. Now I understand that there is there is a problem in our society sometimes where people, some people, they kind of, when they picture abusive relationships, they picture the man being the abuser and the woman being abused. Okay, so there is this sort of attitude sometimes where some people are less likely to think that women can do bad things and sort of are more likely to see women as the victim and men as the villain. Okay, and some people that are maybe less sympathetic to men, or, less likely to believe that a man can, be in trouble, like if a woman's violent or mentally abusive, okay? And even in the manosphere and red pill community, there are some guys that will just call a man a simp if he's being treated badly by a woman. So that sort of lack of sort of sympathy for men that are in abusive relationships is even present in the manosphere, okay? Now, I kind of think this sort of, the biased attitude that people can have of thinking, it's more likely to be men that's abusive and being more reluctant to see that women can be abusive. I do think that is a stigma in our society that we should be sort of fighting against. Yeah. But the issue that I have with Pearl is she is more anti-woman than pro-male. Okay, she is more about trying to bring women down than trying to actually help men. Okay, sort of instead of thinking I could be there for men that have been victims, I could be a voice for men who want to speak out and say, look, bad stuff can happen to us, we can be victims of abuse at the hands of women. Instead of having that attitude, she's more about just wanting to discredit women and say that any woman who says she's abused is a liar. Okay, it's more about sort of wanting to rubbish women than to actually help men. Or instead of wanting to, help men that have been victims of abuse, instead of sympathising with men that have been in that situation, she is more likely to defend men that are accused of being abusers. If ever any man is accused of abusing a woman, Pearl is there to white knight for him. She sticks up for Steve Crowder. She sticks up for the Tate brothers, or even Russell Brand. Any man that's accused of abusing women, she will sort of jump in and white knight for them. Even if there's loads of evidence proving that they are in fact abusive and dangerous. Okay, and she will always just sit there and say that women are always the liars. Okay, and it's well, women die every week at the hands of an abusive partner. You can't say that they're all making it up, that they're all lying. Okay. Because some people, they say they don't agree with the hashtag believe women, they say instead it should be hashtag believe evidence. It's like, okay, but even when there's evidence, you'll still dismiss it and say, no, 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 it must be the woman's fault somehow. It's just looking at everything from a biased, men are good, women are bad sort of attitude, okay? In a talk that Pearl had with Lauren Chen a little while ago, Pearl, again, she was defending Steve Crowder, and she was saying, like, if Hillary had just taken the dog for a walk, like he said, the argument that was caught on tape wouldn't have happened.
She was not showing him love because she didn't listen to him. And it's like tradwives. Why wasn't the question? Why didn't you walk the dog like you were told?
And I think this goes to show like how ignorant she is, like about, like abusive relationships. Like if somebody is with a partner who is abusive, just trying to please them isn't going to help. Like if Hillary had taken the dog for a walk, or if she'd given the dog the medicine, he would have found some other reason to get angry at her, okay? Because he's the one who had the problem. But also, considering the fact that she's heavily pregnant with twins, for you to like watch footage of him like just sat there on his bum doing nothing but ordering his heavily pregnant woman around and speaking to her like she's trash, it's like, how, like, some of these guys in the manosphere can watch that and still come to the conclusion that, oh, well, it must be the woman who's bad. It's like, or Pearl sort of said before, like, oh, well, she's heard so many stories about how, some men have said that their, like, ex-wives or ex-girlfriends, like, smeared them to everybody. And
I've interviewed so many men that have gone through the same exact thing. And what women do is they poison the well for years. So they'll go around to all of his friends and drop little tidbits of abuse. Now, the common ones are emotional abuse, physical abuse. Some throw in the pedo accusation. That's devastating to men. That's a devastating one. They'll say it about their family. So they'll do this for years. Then when they come out and say he's abusive, they have all of these people ready to back them up in white knight. And then, typically what you get is an out of context clip that they throw out there. And so I knew what was happening when I first saw the video.
I don't doubt that sometimes that happens, okay? I don't doubt that sometimes that has happened, okay? Some people will just be horrible, okay? Some people will lie and they will do that. And that's men and women, okay? But, again, it's like, it happens sometimes, but just because it happens sometimes, that doesn't mean, like, every woman who says she's a victim of abuse is a liar. And it's not like the other way round. Like, the other way round, if a man says that he's been abused or has been treated badly by a woman, people like Pearl and the rest of the manosphere, they won't even question it. They'll just agree. Not only will they, like, agree with him, like, slagging off his ex-wife, but, in the manosphere and red pill community, some of these guys, they hate on all women, okay? They hate on all women. And they all, like, sort of encourage each other to hate all women because of their bad experiences with women. Yet, like, when it's a woman, she's not even allowed to hate on the one man, If you're a man, you can come here and say, oh, women are all trash, women are all this, and women destroy men, and women are horrible people. You can say that, and, like, if any women disagree, the women will be called insensitive and not understanding that these men are in pain and all that. Yet, somebody like Lauren Southern, like, my guess is she's not going to be trashing all men, yet all she's got to do is, like, talk negatively about the one man that she claims abused her. And again, it'll be like, oh, how horrible. She's slandering this man and blaming everything on him and not taking any accountability. It's like, it's only men that can, have problems. It's only men that can be hurt by women. Women can't be hurt by men, but if they are, then it's the woman's fault for choosing. She's not allowed to complain. She's not allowed to talk about her feelings. She's not allowed to be angry at the one man that hurt her. Yet men are encouraged to blame every single woman on the planet for their problems.
Southern has attacked vitriolic criticism from the right for openly speaking about how tradlife went wrong for her. Now, Lauren, why? Look it's totally fine your marriage didn't work out, okay? It happens. You're a statistic. Most people are statistics. Why do you have to make this a spectacle? That's my question. I mean, your kid, I think at some point is going to want to hang out with his dad. Is that the best that this is on the internet? And no trad people are saying anything, nothing. She, however, she sees speaking out not as a betrayal of her own side, but as continuous with her earlier willingness to challenge the progressive consensus on topics such as immigration. Like, I mean, do you care if the chick talking about immigration is married or not? I mean, I don't really give a shit. Like, I'm not worried about saying things I'm saying right now. These are getting me attacked online because I've dealt with this with South Africa. I've dealt with this with mass immigration. I've dealt with this with my critiques of feminism. And every single one turned out, oh, maybe she was onto something. For sure, she's telling me. She tells me she's not alone. She tells me many other. And guys, when the whole Steven Crowder thing happened, I said that these women have a group chat and they go after people. And everyone said, Pearl, you're crazy. Pearl, haha, there's no group chat. Pearl. And I was fucking right. Sorry, I shouldn't swear so much. I'm a flawed person. I was right. She says, there are many other women still suffering in unhappy trad life marriages. One of her group chats, she says, is like an underground railroad for women in the conservative movement. Some of these are prominent media figures. There are a lot of influencers who are not in good relationships, who are still portraying the marriage publicly and bashing people for not being married while being in a horrendous relationship. So this is what I told you guys. What women tend to do is before the marriage is even over, the relationship is over, she's been shit talking you to the entire community for years. You could have been thinking, because most men don't see divorce coming, you could have been thinking everything's amazing. I mean, these trad women are online talking about how happy they are married. And yet they're in a group chat that I called, that I said existed, that I said these women use to defame people and come after people. Guys, I'm probably next. Don't really care.
Okay, what Lauren said there was that there's some women that are like, promoting the trad life and saying it's great and saying that like everybody should do it, but actually they're not happy. Okay. And somehow Pearl got from that like, oh, well, really they're just pretending to the man that they're happy and slandering him behind his back. That's where her mind jumps to, is it? It's like, okay, I don't doubt, right, that some people, and that will be men and women, will sort of put on a front that they are happily married. Okay, they'll put on that front to other people because, people don't want to sort of, show if they're unhappy sometimes, or they don't want to talk about what happens, like in the home. Okay. And I would imagine, especially if somebody has been selling this sort of idea that the trad life is wonderful, the trad life is brilliant, being a trad wife is what every woman wants, and this is what every man wants. People who've been selling that, it's going to be even harder for them to come out and say, like, well, actually, this wasn't working. It was actually miserable. I wasn't happy. I don't think this is right. It's going to be harder for people to come out and admit that if they've been selling the idea that this is wonderful. Okay, and that could be men or women. All right. Now, some people have taken this, like, since Lauren Southern has sort of, said about her marriage being unhappy, some people have sort of taken this as a sign that, oh, actually, like, trad life is toxic, is not good. And, well, I kind of think that the lifestyle probably isn't actually the problem, okay? Like, if Lauren Southern was in a relationship with somebody who was abusive to her, that would have been the case, like, whatever the lifestyle. Like, if she was working, or if she was at home with a kid. If somebody's abusive, they're going to be abusive. It would make no difference, okay? So I don't think it's actually the lifestyle that is to blame for the problems here. However, I do think that women should be aware of the fact that, like, if you are relying on a man 100%, financially, if there are problems in the marriage, it is harder for you to sort of get away. Like if a woman does end up in the same situation that Lauren Southern was in, it's harder for them to get away, to escape, if they're relying on somebody financially. Okay, and it may be the case for a man as well. Okay, because sometimes it is the woman who earns more. But I'm just saying, like, because when it comes to people that are promoting the trad life, okay, I'm not knocking trad life. I mean, if some people are living the sort of trad life and they're happy with it, good for them, okay. But yeah, there is that danger that you could become trapped if you are in an unhappy marriage. But also, they kind of sell this propaganda in the manosphere and red pill community that this is what suits everybody. That, like, every woman would be happy if they live the trad life. Every man wants a trad wife, okay. And the thing is, it's not true. Not everybody does want the same thing. Again, some people do, and if they're happy, good for them. But there's going to be some women who will think that, like, oh yeah, being a homemaker, that's my calling. But then they might actually find out that, well, no, actually it isn't, okay. But also, it's not true, like, what they sort of portray in the red pill community, that every man wants a woman to be at home all the time. That's not true. Some might do, but not all of them, okay? Like, men and women are individual people, and it's a bit dangerous to sort of push this idea that, like, everybody has to live a certain way.
Okay, hold on. She hopes, in speaking out, she can reassure that all of the women are thinking in their heads, I'm uniquely terrible, and I'm uniquely making a mistake. That no, something is generally more amiss. What the fuck is, I hate people that use big words for no reason. I'm sorry. All right. What then is amiss? In her view, it is not that conservatism is fundamentally mistaken, or that the complex complementary sex roles are unworkable, but that online tradwife ideology has a detailed version of these roles that are both rigid and widely oversimplified, and thus woefully ill-equipped for real life in ways that pose significant risks for women in such marriages. What happened? I mean, truly. What happened that was so bad? The dad left? Boo-hoo, that's life, all right? Get out of here. This is what I got no sympathy. I got no sympathy for a pretty blonde, famous chick that gets to make money. We have the best lives. I hope you guys have no sympathy for me. I don't deserve any. My life's freaking amazing. Like, you realize I interviewed a veteran yesterday. And it's like, you talk to people that have been in the military. This chick's bitching because her marriage didn't work out. Get out of here. Get out. Okay.
Okay, a marriage failing is traumatic for anybody, male or female. It's like one of the most traumatic things that people can go through. I mean, Pearl has talked before about some boyfriend that she was in love with and he left her for another woman, and she talked about how sad that is. Well, imagine, like, if you're married to somebody, you've got kids with somebody, you're giving up your whole life for that person, and then it goes wrong. Yes, that is incredibly traumatic. I mean, I'm not disagreeing that, like, yeah, it's good to look on the positive and to look on the good things in your life, but the thing is everybody is going to go through some kind of trauma in their life, and everybody's going to be, like, you know, sad or depressed about this trauma at some point, okay? That happens to everybody.
Okay. How then did Southern get from posting videos titled, "Why I'm Not a Feminist," to defending women's sex-specific interests within a family life? This is, after all, not a million miles from what used to be called feminism. It's a long and bitter story. It's like these women can't get to the point. It's like, get to the point, okay? In which Southern did her best to live a purist internet ideology to the letter, only to receive a grim object lesson in its shortcomings. Born in 1995, Southern grew up in British Columbia in a middle-class conservative Christian home. Southern was, she recounts, part of the first generation to grow up predominantly online. And this chick is always tweeting on Twitter for me to, like, she's like, everyone needs to touch grass. Well, you touch grass. She's like, I wasn't raised online. I'm younger than you. Okay. She and her sister, now a DJ and Twitch streamer, spent their adolescence in the kind of internet hinterlands in which ideas flourish, free of grounding in material reality or practical experience. Here, one complex theories are swiftly distilled to their bare essentials for maximum viral reach. As Southern puts it, follow the listicle and you'll be fine. By the time she met her husband, she'd been condensing conservative values into the listicle form as a media influencer for some years, to the point where it seems possible to realize the framework in real life too. So when marriage beckoned at 22, she tells me, Riley, I thought I'd won the lottery. They were married within 4 months. So let me get this straight. You guys want to blame tradlife. You want to blame the tradlife for your failed marriage. And you made the choice to get married within 4 months. I mean, a pregnancy is 9 months. Shouldn't we maybe see if we can make it to the full term of a pregnancy before marriage?
Okay, I would agree that getting married within 4 months of meeting somebody is kind of a bit silly, okay? Later on in the article, the woman that's wrote the article goes on to say that she thinks that the guy that Lauren Southern was married to was a narcissistic psychopath, okay? That was her word. Now, if that's the case, I know that it is sort of known sometimes for, like, narcissists to love bomb, they call it, and that is like, you know, when they start dating somebody, like being too full on straight away, like acting like they're madly in love with the person, like, you know, when they've only just started dating them, and like planning marriage, planning children, and like when they've only just met, okay, like being too full on, too fast, straight away. That is, you know, they call it love bombing. That's that's something that apparently people with narcissistic personality disorder will sometimes do at the beginning of a relationship, okay? I also wonder a little bit whether the reason why Lauren was in such a rush to get married is because, like, she'd been getting pressure from the manosphere, like, from when she was, like, 22 years old. She was getting, like, messages, like, you know, her fans were saying, like, why aren't you married yet? You know, like, you know, because some people in the like manosphere, red pill community kind of think a woman is, you know, not complete unless she's got a man. Her sole purpose is to find a man as quickly as possible. So even like when, you know, she's very young, they were pressuring her, and also because she's the one who's been promoting the idea that, like, you know, like the trad life, you know, is what women should be looking for. So I wonder if this kind of pressure is also why, you know, she sort of agreed to get married so early. And when I say this, like, no, I'm not trying to take accountability off the woman, Pearl, and blame everybody else for her decisions. I'm just saying that sometimes outside, you know, influences can sort of like, sort of program your sort of decisions, you know, the sort of like harmful propaganda from like the manosphere about how like you know, women should get married as young as possible to like the first man they meet, because, you know, if a woman has any standards, she's, you know, being too fussy, and like women shouldn't like mature and grow or make mistakes in life like men do. No, they're supposed to, you know, straight away be married like about 20 years old to the first man they meet, and like they're not allowed to choose the wrong one. Men can choose the wrong one. They can sit here and complain about the women like they've been with, and they can be divorced, they can have like failed relationships, but like as soon as it's a woman, like, oh, she's a complete and utter loser. Okay, so this kind of propaganda, you know, this kind of like pressure, like, you should be married, Lauren, you're a trad woman, you know, hurry up and find a husband. This probably did contribute to her like rushing into marriage. And I do understand that Lauren Southern is one of the you know, people that had also been contributing to this, you know, sort of been also telling other women that they should do the same. So I understand that she's like, you know, been responsible for like pushing this propaganda as well. But I think at least she's sort of realizing now that it can be, you know, harmful, that it's not all like, you know, just wonderful for everybody.
Is this crazy? Okay. She was quickly pregnant. Oh no. I mean, is that the cause of the marriage? I mean, there's just some stuff I'm like asking, you know. There were warning signs from early on. If I ever disagreed with him in any capacity, he'd just disappear for days at a time. I remember there were nights where he'd call me worthless and pathetic and get in the car and leave. Now, I want to, guys, put in the chat, what does this mean? What does this actually mean? Like, what is she leaving out of the story? Another thing I want to bring forward. Now, we don't have proof of any of this. These are just stories, right? But let's just say she's telling the truth. Why would he disappear for days at a time? Why would he call her worthless and pathetic?
Oh, gee, now my guess is if he's a narcissist, that might be why he doesn't like somebody disagreeing with him and takes it kind of personally, because he has issues of his own. Also, the calling her worthless, devaluing people is something that not some narcissists apparently do, okay? It's the cycle of narcissistic abuse, is to idealize or love bomb, then devalue, then discard, okay? But, you know, never mind about that. Let's hear Pearl come up with some made-up story that she just imagines is true without any evidence whatsoever about why it must all be the woman's fault that the relationship was failing.
Now, she did something insane and he had to get away. That is exactly my thought. I thought, well, was there some infidelity? That would make sense. If he caught her cheating, I don't know if there was or there wasn't, but I'm just begging the question. Let's say he caught her cheating. Well, can you really blame him for leaving for a couple days and calling her worthless and pathetic? What if it was a continual problem? I mean, social media influencers are the most likely ones to cheat. She probably whooped his ass like, yeah. All right, but she didn't see them. Thanks to the simplified anti-feminist ideology she'd absorbed and promoted. I had this delusional view of relationships, and only women could be the ones that make or break them, and that men could do no wrong. So she didn't spot the red flags, even as they grew more extreme. He'd lock me. All right, now let's go to the next one. He'd lock me out of the house. I remember having to knock on the neighbor's door on a rainy night because he'd get upset and drive off. Wait, hold on. He'd lock me out of the house. I remember having to knock on my neighbor's door on a rainy night because he'd get upset and drive off without unlocking the house. It was very strange to go from being this public figure on stage with people clapping to the girl crying, knocking on someone's door with no home to get into, being abandoned with the baby. Now again, what would draw a man to do this? And these are the questions we have to start asking. He definitely found evidence of something. Why didn't she have a key to her own house? And the more you read the story, the more it sounds like she was cheating or talking to a lot of men.
Yes, as per usual, Pearl just makes up some story to, serve her narrative that she wants to believe about how it's the woman that's always bad and it must be the woman that's done something wrong. And she doesn't need any evidence. I don't think Lauren's ex-husband has come out and said that she cheated or anything like that. But, we don't need evidence. We just need Pearl to just come up with some imaginary storyline. Okay? But even if, hypothetically, even if Lauren had done something wrong that, apparently was so terrible that she deserved to be locked out of the house, she said locked out the house with the baby. Do you want to explain what the baby is supposed to have done wrong, to be locked out the house? I mean, this guy, not only, has he dumped his wife, but it sounds like he's not even interested in his child, okay?
I don't know. Because guys are pretty even-keeled. Women are the emotional ones. So my question is, that you made a guy get so emotional that he left and locked you out of the house.
You don't think men can be emotional? Have you never listened to Myron Gaines from Fresh and Fit when he, explodes in fits of anger all the time? Okay.
Why the hell are you going to pay full price for a goddamn car that's been used? If I'm going to invest into you, I need to know you are not used, man.
Men are, most people, are emotional. Yeah, okay. Men and women, they might express emotions differently. Like, women might be more likely to cry. But men, men are more likely to be angry, well, to show anger or lose control of their anger, more road rage incidents. It's men, okay? More men are in prison for violent offences, okay? Men certainly can be emotional.
I mean, okay, let's go with the cheating narrative. I mean, even if I found out, if I was a guy and I found out my wife was cheating in the house I pay for, I would think about locking the bitch out too. Is this crazy? Okay. But as she tells it, if the nightmare began in earnest when he was offered a work opportunity in his home country of Australia, a few weeks after the birth of their baby, he did not want to leave her support networks behind, but he used the political and religious importance she placed on lifelong marriages as a lever to force her to agree. Whenever I wouldn't do something, he would say, I'm going to divorce you. So she felt she had no other option. She assented. He also insisted she should publicly quit work. His work required a high level of government security clearance. Yeah, so she married a Fed. Why would that be a good idea, guys? Why would it be a good idea? If your work values privacy, why would it be a good idea as an influencer to marry a guy? I mean, if that's what you like to do, why would you marry okay. They said you wouldn't marry a Fed. Well, I mean, it just doesn't seem like that would be a good match for, if she liked her influence and stuff, why would you marry it? Anyways. She was banned from entering the UK. In their early giddy romance, this had felt manageable. But when she moved back to Australia, he really wanted to go back and do his old work. And Southern was a hardcore liability, so the pressure was on. It was like, Lauren, you got to hire lawyers, you got to disavow everything, you got to never talk publicly again. So in 2019, she announced she was leaving the media and activism altogether. As Southern tells it, she was sincerely trying to put into practice the ideology she promoted in her videos. I believed I had a certain role in my relationship, she told me, and it was to be more submissive, the more submissive one that supports my husband's dreams. Then, thousands of miles away from friends and family, she reports becoming the closest thing to a oh my God. She did not say this. The closest thing to a modern day Western slave. Really? Oh my goodness. You compared yourself to a slave? Truly. I wish some of these chicks could talk to people from third world countries or that served in the military or did some actual hard shit. With no income of her own, she had to do everything. The lawns, the house, the cooking, the baby care, his university homework. Let me get this straight. That is slavery to you. Let me get this straight. The lawn, the house, the cooking, baby care, and university homework is slavery. And none of you simps checked this. None of you simps said, this doesn't, I don't know if this is.
Well, there are men in the red pill community that describe marriage as slavery as well, like the MGTOW, men going their own way movement. They would often describe opting out of marriage and family life. They would describe it as leaving the plantation, as if to claim that it's slavery for men, to be married to a woman, and that anything the man does to contribute to family life is him being treated as a slave, okay? And there's also, some people that make it sound as if, a woman doing housework or whatever, it is being a slave to the man. Okay, so that kind of works both ways. But again, like, if Lauren Southern was in an abusive relationship where she wasn't being appreciated, if her husband wouldn't at least, like, you know, help look after the baby, or by the sounds of it, like, even, like, care about his own child, I don't think we can exactly dismiss, like, her experience when we don't know what it was like for her, okay?
If this is adding up. There was no help changing diapers. There was no help waking up in the night with the baby. I'd still have to get up to make breakfast before work. I'd be shaking and nervous for fear I'm going to get yelled at. Let me get this straight. I'm pretty sure, I mean, I'm not a historian. I'm pretty sure slaves had a bigger fear than getting yelled at. I don't know. I was told, okay. Then he'd berate her for spending all her time on tasks other than earning money. That doesn't make sense. I was told daily that I was worthless, pathetic, a dead weight. All you do is sit around and take care of the baby and do chores. When COVID shut down. Now, does that make sense? I have never in my life had a guy say to me, all you do, I've never heard a guy say that to his wife, or, you know, I've heard a lot of men complain about relationships, and, you know, I've heard their complaints. I have never heard a man say, my wife does too many chores and takes care of my kid too much.
We're not talking about your experience, are we? This is something that Pearl does quite a bit, is that she tries to, like, prove stuff from her own experience, not from, like, data, not from, you know, listening to other people, well, other than men. Because, you know, obviously, like, Pearl spends a lot of time listening to red pill men and guys in the manosphere, okay, who, like, promote the idea that, like, the woman should be at home, okay? And as I did say in another video, okay, like, not every man wants a woman who is a homemaker, okay? To tell women that this is what all men want is not true. Men are individual people and women are individual people. Not every single man wants the same thing, and not every woman wants to do the same thing either, okay? But also, once again, if Lauren Southern was in an abusive relationship, it wouldn't make any difference, like, whether she was at home or whether she was at work, okay? Like, if he was, like, complaining about her being at home and saying she was a dead weight and saying she's wrong for not earning money, even though she was the one, like, looking after the baby and getting up at night and, you know, doing everything and doing all the housework and all that, he might have been criticising her. But if she'd been working, he'd have been criticising her still. If he's somebody who is abusive, if he is the one with the mental illness, it doesn't matter what she does. Like, she would never be able to please him, okay? And it's the same as, like, when Pearl sits there, you know, again, when she defends Steve Crowder and says, well, why didn't Hillary just do what she was told? It's like, well, if he's an abuser, it wouldn't make a difference, okay? You can't just submit abuse away. You can't just say to women who are in abusive relationships, oh, just be as submissive as possible, and then that'll please the guy. It won't work, okay? And once again, it's not just women who I think are in abusive relationships, it can be men as well, okay? I'm not saying men are more abusive than women, or women are more likely to be victims than men. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, you know, the sort of dismissiveness, the, like, insensitivity to just call all women liars, and, you know, to say, like, men can do no wrong, it's always the woman's fault, and it's just like hamster rationalizing stuff, you know, like, oh, she must have done something wrong, or she must have cheated. Like, you got no evidence for that. You just don't want to, like, admit, like, that men can ever do anything wrong.
Her situation became hell on earth. It was, she said, the only time in my life where I idealized dying. God, why are white women so spoiled? Like, guys, this is just crazy.
Now, this is what really made me quite angry, right? Like, the, like, dismissiveness and the just laughing at the idea that, you know, Lauren could have been, you know, thinking of, like, ending her own life, okay? Because this, I think, is really quite sort of, like nasty. Like, I mean, Pearl comes across to me, this is just my opinion, okay, from what I see, she comes across to me like she really does not empathise with other people, okay? Okay, even if you're going to come at stuff from the point of view of thinking that, like, well, hold on a minute, let's not just believe a woman, like, you know, it's possible that Lauren could be lying because, you know, some people do lie, some people do make up stuff, you know, so, you know, can't 100%, you know, say that she's telling the truth. Even if you had that way of thinking, it's like, well, you still can't, like, 100% assume that they're not lying, okay? So if she was telling the truth, to laugh at somebody when they say they want to end it all, you know, would be kind of really nasty, okay? It's fair enough to say, like, well, we don't actually know that she's 100% telling the truth, but to say, like, oh, well, 100%, she's just a spoiled bitch, let's just laugh at somebody who says that they felt like ending it all is, just really nasty, in my opinion. Also, I think that when Pearl, calls other women spoiled, she calls white women spoiled, I think she's projecting, okay? And I think this, like, a lot of the time when Pearl, like, aims a lot of insults at women, I think she is projecting her own self-loathing. I think she really doesn't like herself, because she said this herself. She said that the reason why she got into the, she was easily brainwashed by the manosphere is because of low self-esteem. This is like what she has actually admitted to, okay? So I think a lot of the insults she aims at women, I think it's her own self-loathing that she projects at other women. And when she sits here and says, oh, like, white women are all spoiled, I think it's like, well, she's the one who came from, parents that were multi-millionaires and had everything handed to her on a plate. And I'm not knocking her for that, okay? Like, none of us, are to blame for, our parents. And, I'm not saying that she, in any way didn't deserve to have, like, well-off parents and a good upbringing and all that. I'm not saying she doesn't deserve it. I'm not blaming her for that. But it's the fact that she doesn't even try to empathise with the struggles, that other people have that are not her. Or that, she just projects her own, like, self-loathing onto other women, okay? Because, I would, like, feel sorry for her. Like, if, for, having low self-esteem, I would feel sorry for her if it wasn't for the fact that she is, so horrible to other women, okay, that, she takes it out on other women. And to, just sit here, listen to Lauren say, like, her marriage, it was a nightmare for her, she was, feeling so worthless, she was feeling like she wanted to end it all, to just, like, laugh at that and just sit there and say, oh, well, it's because you're spoiled. It's like, it's just so nasty, like she doesn't have any, like, feelings at all, and it's like, even if, hypothetically, even if she was right, okay, even if, say, Lauren Southern had a spoiled upbringing, I don't know Lauren Southern, I don't know what kind of upbringing she's had, but if hypothetically, if Pearl was right, that still doesn't mean you can't have trauma, you can't have bad things happen to you. Anybody can have bad things happen to them. Like, none of us know what the future holds, okay? The idea that, oh, you've had a really good life, so that means, like, if you say that your marriage was abusive, you're just moaning about nothing. Because, like, you don't know that Pearl. You don't know what she's been through, okay? And it's just, like, really, it's just not very nice, okay? That's all I've got to say about that for now. Thank you for listening.